You know me. I told him you're in charge.
Oh, thanks. No pressure. Nicole, while you're on, I'm going to put you to work.
Okay, just tell me what I need to do.
Well, the big thing is obviously we turn the information over to you, which is pretty much the early part of the agenda. And we
That's
wanted to sort of give people an update as far as like what happened to it when it got to your place.
okay.
I know there's a bill being created that's going to merge a few different professions, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's our task. It's going to be a workforce bill.
Okay. Do you know if it includes respiratory therapy as well?
I don't know, but I can check because I have a meeting, a screening meeting right after this.
Okay. I have a colleague in my department who'll be really happy if it is.
Okay.
Hi, Jen.
Hi there. I'm sorry, I'm stuffing my face between clients.
I just finished mine, so you're allowed.
I'm doing the same thing. I'll try not to spray lunch at the camera while I talk here.
I just wanted to ask a question to the group. Has anyone been approached to speak to any news outlets?
Oh, about an hour ago.
Me too. Okay.
NBC?
I believe so.
Yeah, same
Through
one.
LinkedIn?
Yes.
Yes.
No, he emailed me directly.
Okay. Do we have a stance on that as a group?
That's one of the reasons why I didn't take the interview before this.
Love it.
What I was going to point out is sort of related to the stuff that we talked about last time. I'm still waiting for Lenny to come on because obviously she's the other co-chair, and I think it's a couple more people. It's just the cost of education has gotten so ridiculous that it's really hard to keep people in the field or actually interested in the field. The national debt average is $86,000 for an athletic trainer doing an entry-level master's degree. That does include the undergraduate as well. It's a lot less if a person stays in state and goes to a state school, but if they go out of state, it can be quite more than that.
Mhm.
I've been sort of surveying some of the students we have graduating this year, try to get some actual numbers. I've had two actually, yeah, third one just came in like about 30 seconds ago. The first two, one was 61,000, the other one's $100,000. And that's going to be the student loans they're going to have to pay back. And I think that sort of puts numbers on it, and to have them go into a profession with the state of affairs in Connecticut, that's a lot of money they're going to have to pay, and they're not going to be able to really do well. So the third one I just got back is 55.7, and that's only because the parents took out a second mortgage in the house to pay off her first undergrad years.
I'm still paying mine, and I'm 42.
I believe it. There's a student who graduated from here probably 20 years ago. She was an out-of-state student, and she went on to get her master's degree, and she didn't really get a good GA position. She ended up owing like 86,000 20 years ago, and 10 years later she still owed 84,000. The interest alone is just taking up all the money, all the payment she's making. I mean, fortunately, the salaries are coming up. They weren't in the past. Dr. D in the house.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I know I'm a few minutes behind here.
You're never behind because it doesn't start until you show up.
Yeah. Nope, I'm behind. It's fine.
I have to jump off just about 10 minutes before I have a client at 1.
Okay. That works. I don't even know that we're gonna take the whole hour. But if you need to go in and out, whoever needs to like pause and come back, oh, totally fine. We wanted to just make sure we touched base with everybody. We had another meeting, kind of as, you know, the bill progresses. If it gets raised, we wanted to just talk about, a few things. So Gary, I don't know if you want to talk or you want me to talk
Gonna
or.
let you start, and then I was gonna have Nicole talk, because obviously it's gone to a bill stage now, and I thought she'd be a much better person to explain the process going forward with that. And then we can start talking about what we're gonna need to do on our end to try to bring it through.
Okay, does anybody have any questions from the first meeting to the minutes we sent out to the draft bill to now? Let's start with that. And if you do, I can't see your hand, just talk.
What's the draft? Is there a bill number? Has it been raised?
We're gonna wait for Nicole to give us that
We
information because I think
we don't have the bill number yet because our individual bill is being morphed into one of the bigger public health bills on workforce development. So that should be coming out within the next couple weeks because we obviously have to have a public hearing on it. So as soon as I get it, you will be the first people I send it to.
perfect. And I keep asking Nicole for it, so I'm sure she's ready for me to stop asking her for it. So
No, but it's always good. You never know. I may one day that like I'm so crazy, I'd be like, crap, I forgot. So yeah, keep reminding.
So I think so we sent in our draft language, and as Nicole said, it's part of a bigger workforce bill, which is, you know, addressing a variety of things, and our information is in there also. So once that bill gets raised, we'll be able to send that information out to everybody here. And then we would one of the things we want to talk about today is if you would be willing to testify, kind of who's willing to testify, written and in person. I know it's going to depend on when the public hearing is and all those things. We totally understand. And we can help everybody with, you know, drafting the language, the introduction, drafting your testimony, you know, the introduction, all that stuff. And we can do all that and get organized. So that's that. I think that's like the biggest piece of why we wanted to talk to everybody too, just to update everybody on kind of what's happening. Cause it was like, go, go, go. And then we went. And now it's kind of just been silent.
Now it's wait. Now we're wait.
And then, right. We hurried up to wait, which happens often in, you know, legislation in all the years that Gary and I have been doing this. We're used to it, but we wanted to make sure everybody else understood that yes, there is a process. Yes, we're still following it. It just is what it is at this point. We're just kind of waiting. We're playing that waiting game until the bill gets raised and it's assigned a bill number. And then once that happens, we would start submitting our written testimony. And then if folks can testify live, that's always really good. So if you are interested or can testify written or live, I think if we could generate a list, that would be helpful. And then we can kind of get organized from there. So we'll do that at the end, I think. So from now, I'm looking at the agenda and it says highlights from last meeting. So again, we just want to thank everybody for getting onto the last meeting. And we were really able to take everybody's feedback and draft the first version of the bill that we did send in. We also had a meeting at the EATA, and we were able to explain the bill and kind of get more folks' feedback. I don't know, Jess, if you want to touch base on that, the EATA meeting.
Sure. So a lot of the EATA meeting was just explaining exactly what Eleni just did, just to make sure that everybody is educated and understand what's going on, and the process of it. And then again, when we need to, what we're talking about now is mobilize and go forth with all these things, is just to make sure that everybody's up to date with all the information and the process of all of it.
Anybody have questions now?
Me. I want to add one thing. When we get to the point when we get the bill number and then you're getting ready to submit your testimony, then I think it's really important to mobilize people to reach out to their senators and state reps to let them know, that we want their support in this and how it's important. What we also did, we crafted the language to be similar to other workforce that are out here. So it's, we weren't out there with the wording. It was similar to everybody else's. So I didn't know if everybody knew that. I just want to let you know.
Good.
Great, thank you, Nicole. Gary, any other questions before I ask Gary if he has anything he wants to say?
I'm just getting myself prepared for the letter writing part.
Okay, we also reached out to NATA. Jess reached out to the National Athletic Trainers Association. They have kind of a legislative arm now that can help us with some of this, with connecting us with legislators and connecting us with senators and helping us draft that bill. Jess, I know she sent an email this morning. I didn't get to read it, so I didn't know if you wanted to kind of summarize if they can help us, what they could help us with, that sort of thing. You're muted.
Sorry, I went to go flip over. I haven't seen that email yet.
Okay, perfect. That's okay.
Yeah, so we
So,
done that, and then we obviously have also gotten the space to mobilize for Hit the Hill Day, which we will also, we obviously don't know when the hearing and all of that is going to happen, but if we get to Hit the Hill Day first, working on mobilizing athletic trainers to go talk to the legislators about what we're doing. And I asked Andrew to jump in and start also like a one-pager that we can bring with us that day as well to get to them.
perfect. So the CATA does an annual kind of legislative day, and this year it will be on March 26th. So we will monitor if the bill is raised, when the bill is raised, when the public hearing is, and during that Hit the Hill Day, we will have some information for folks to meet with their legislators, based on where you're living, who your legislator is, and we'll have some information that we could give out. And it doesn't only have to be athletic trainers. I feel like we keep saying athletic trainers, but anybody on this call or anybody on this call feels would be impactful to speak. Often it's nice when it's not the profession who's kind of lobbying for something for their profession, being able to show that this is an important topic for, multiple people, multiple populations is also important. So then we can stress the importance of this, I think is very important. So as we're talking here and thinking here, if you have other folks that parents, student athletes, doctors, whoever you think would be willing to talk about this, with a legislator, I think would be great. And we could reach out to them and talk to them and help connect them with their legislator. Gary, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. I mean, as Lenny pointed out, we're going to have to be contacting our legislators. And one of the neat things about this task force is that we have athletic trainers from pretty much every area of the profession. And each area is definitely demonstrating a lack of people. We also have an athletic director, we have a physician and stuff. There's a lot of different groups here that are represented. For the Public Health Committee, I think it's very important that they hear from all of us, all the different groups. So in other words, the collegiates, the college, we know college athletic training, especially nationwide, they're hurting. We know the occupational setting needs people. We know the high schools are desperately in need of people. So we got to make it so it seems like it's not just one group of area but the entire gamut of the profession is involved. So yes, it'll be helpful if everybody here writes a letter, but also you're also representing another group in the state to contact those people to have them put their in. Another big area for the people who have programs here is try to get the students involved. The reality of it is this is for the students. And if it would really help if they made a presentation of saying, this is my dilemma. Right before the meeting started, I put a survey out to our students of just how much they owed. The highest was $100,000. The least amount of money is $40,000, but that doesn't include our undergraduate education. So these students are definitely coming out with a lot of debt. And we're one of the cheapest schools in the country. So I can only imagine for other schools like Sacred Heart and the Yukons. I think if we can make a case that, yes, there is a shortage of people, and more importantly, part of the shortage is people are having economically are having trouble doing it, I think we can make the case for the bill being approved. Okay, the silence. Any questions? Otherwise, I will ramble.
Just on that note, first thing is CATA has also gone around to some of the student programs to notify the students of what's going on. So I physically went to Southern with a few of us on the board. We did a virtual one with UConn. I went to Quinnipiac, and I go to Central on Monday morning. So part of this is educating the students, getting their feedback, and then mobilizing them as well to take part in what we're doing. And then Eleni, I do have Deanna's email up. And she did answer in ways that they can help us at the NHEA level, is they are going to put an advocacy campaign together for us. So that group over there with her heading it will put things together and draft it and send it to us for review. You know, we can go on a call later with her today for specific talking points. They will help us with the drafts for testimony and having the templates ready for people in place. And for the different, you know, we've talked about having whether it's parents or physicians or athletic directors or all of these people elsewhere that we talk about as stakeholders, not just athletic trainers. So she will help us, you know, draft those things together. She will also help draft things together and flag legislators that would be important for us to target and use. She also asked for other leaders of stakeholder groups so that we could do a combination letter with us in support of what we're doing. And then also sent over just some templates and one pagers for us to get out as far as information. So lots that NATA can help us with as far as mobilizing and getting things together. And then on the second thing, just with the students, is we have gone out to mobilize and get them ready to be active in this process and see how it's affecting them, which I think was the biggest point.
Perfect. That just saved us a lot of time too.
Yeah,
now that,
I got
we
excited. I
have
knew
that.
you would be.
Yeah, which is that's fantastic. So I think maybe we could get some of that information out even to the task force here for feedback. Does that sound good, Jess?
Yeah, for sure.
Like her one pagers, or I haven't looked at it yet, but you know, anything that she sent out, I think is important for us to have this group look out before we then start to use it.
Right.
Yeah, as a physician, I think, you know, I can speak pretty powerfully with regard to the athletic training needs and issues, both in really most of those areas. You know, I work with a college team and a bunch of high school teams, at least one of which has been looking for a full-time athletic trainer for at least the last 2 years without being able to find one. And I know that the athletic training situation is something that we talk about at our Connecticut State Medical Society Sports Medicine Committee meetings on a regular basis. And most of the physicians there and those on that committee would also be usually willing and able to speak powerfully about the role of the athletic trainer and how important it is for us to be able to do our job to take care of these kids.
That's great. Yep.
That'd be really wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So I think I'm looking at the agenda to make sure we're staying on track here. I think at this point, if we don't have questions, I think we could talk about maybe the best way to gather information on who would like to, who would like to provide testimony or be there that day if they can, depending on what day it is. And then I think next step would be for us to send out, you know, whatever the NATA has been able to draft for us so that we could start to get our information together to make sure that we are, you know, unified in our presentation of, you know, why this is important and how we need to fill these positions.
I'm more than happy to speak just through my experience as a younger athletic trainer who wants to stay in the profession and has made strides to do that. And then Eleni, I think, you know, looking at the governmental affairs committee, Perry may be a good voice as well, just with his experience and his ability to speak. And I think his knowledge of the governmental affairs kind of side. So I'm kind of throwing his name in the hat a little bit there because he's done it for me for the last 7 years of my life. So I think it's only fair, but I'm absolutely happy to speak as a younger professional in the state.
Perfect. Thank you.
So happy to speak as a seasoned older athletic trainer.
You're not old. Come on.
Wise, Jen, you're wise.
But I've also been through a lot. I've worked in a myriad of settings. So just kind of seeing it from a few of those different angles. But yeah, happy to speak.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And if you go ahead. Somebody started to talk. No, just kidding. Is my echo in my head. We can also send out a survey because if someone is if can't unmute or is thinking about it, you can also provide written testimony also if you can't be there, and that's also impactful, and tell your story about why this is important. I think is one of the things that we aim to do. So we can, I think, Gary, you and I could probably draft a quick Google form, where we just say, can you, what's the best place to contact you? And then we could share that information with CATA. Jess, I'm just kind of volunteering the CATA, and then we can get that information out to this group to review, and then to get you some information on where to send your stuff in, how to send it in. And if you were going to testify live, I know there's a process that we have to go through to testify. Are the public hearings virtual still for the most part, Nicole? Are they in-house? How do those
They're
work
both.
now?
They're both.
They're
So
both.
you can testify in person or virtually. So
Oh.
people that, maybe at work, obviously it's always better to be there in person, but we'll take virtual because you'll still be there able to speak to people, and you can, be at work and then jump on when you have to.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
I have a few connections also with local legislators, being in the Chamber of Commerce, and working with ribbon cuttings and things like that. So I'd be happy to speak with them as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Speak to as many as you can. That's
I'll do
the
my
most
best.
important thing, right? We learned that.
Our
in,
town mayor is one of our
public
best
hearing.
friends, so I'll pull the mayor in too.
Good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mobilize
happy-
everybody.
I'm happy to speak. I'm Anna. I'm sorry I wasn't at last meeting. I've been an athletic trainer for a long time, and now I'm an athletic director. So that might be an interesting perspective.
Yes.
We're also looking to hire an athletic trainer to replace me. So it's been really difficult. I can also, if we have something, I can put it out to our parent community, which is very involved. I would say sometimes too involved, but they're very involved, and maybe we say that the athletic trainer we have here is beloved, and wouldn't it be great if all schools had such a great athletic trainer? So if there was just something I can give to them that kind of explains what we're asking them to either write or say, I'm happy to pass that along.
Yeah, and I think we can compile all of that and send it to the group for sure. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments? Gary?
Are there any
Anything else?
groups? Are there any groups here that we don't have represented that we should get a hold of people? I think the one spot that technically we're academics. I know we're missing in the college area, correct?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a college team physician, so I have at least some connection. I could talk to the athletic trainers at the University of New Haven where I work, and get them involved if that helps.
Yeah, and they've struggled finding people over there too.
Yeah,
I think Julie Alexander would probably be a key person for us to have speak. She just did a lot of work to change the contracts over there, to face all the barriers that we're talking about. So she's kind of lived it, done it. So I would say her. Laura over at Wesleyan has kind of started going through the same thing to fill their positions. But Julie, I think, has done a pretty good job utilizing the resources that are out there to go to administration and got her administration on board.
And she did promise that our meeting at EATA is to do whatever she could to help. So
She said, tag me in. So I just did.
Jeff still has connections at Yale and with the trainers at Yale and the docs who are at Yale also, and so
Yale's had a big problem filling all their positions.
Yeah, so Steph can speak to that, and get them involved if necessary.
Okay, I was just gonna say, is there anybody else from CSMS that you think would wanna, chime in or anything like that? I think would be
I
very.
wonder if Dr.
good.
Wong would at Quinnipiac or down in the shoreline area. Dr. Edgar, I know he's with Coast Guard and Conn College. I work with him for hockey a bit.
Well, Steph and I are on the CSMS Sports Medicine Committee, and it's full of docs who deal with athletic trainers. And like say, at our meetings, we almost always are talking about the athletic trainer shortage and the issues that are coming up. And any of those docs, I'm sure, would be willing to submit at least written testimony, and many of them can potentially chip in person as well.
We
Perfect.
appreciate
And it could be a group. You can also do like a group submission, like from CSMS too, and individual. I think that'd be really great too.
Yeah, at the CSMS meeting that we just had and the ones previous, like exactly what Dr. Mayer's talking about. Like sometimes for me, I almost fall to the floor how much we talk about athletic training in there. It just feeds my soul a little bit. But they are ready to go. So they are talking about this task force constantly. And a lot of them are ready to hit go when they're just waiting for the time and the place that we send. But I don't think we need to worry about as far as them as a group sending something in, but also there's a lot of individual doctors that are across groups and across the state that are just waiting for their time to shine, to be on camera and say how important we are.
That's right. Can't do
Perfect.
it without you.
Perfect. And it's, the physicians are part of a group that's also great too. Like you were saying, reaching out to that group and getting like, those types of submissions would also be super helpful to show kind of like that global impact.
Yeah.
So we have a couple college, I think
Does it benefit like a school district, like superintendents? I know we have athletic directors, but going up that chain too and finding a superintendent that maybe, because I know a lot had to be activated early this fall and figuring out where they're finding money to get an athletic trainer. So I wonder if we could reach out to a few that we know went inter-district this year.
Yeah, team doc for the New Haven public schools, and I know Eric's been trying to find an athletic trainer for Hill House for the last 2 years, and is paying above market rates for per diem athletic trainers to cover their athletics. And so I'm sure that he would have some powerful messages about the new public school, especially in urban public schools. I know they're all struggling.
Good point.
Yeah, reach out to the ADs who don't have athletic trainers currently and try to get a group letter from them and the impact it's having on their schools and programs. Like at least look in my league first and then go outside that.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do that. Thank you so much.
Maybe the officials, Connecticut Officials Associations, look at some of those different referees. I think ice hockey, I think football, I think your lacrosse, you look at collision sports first and then you back down. I mean, I know I've always had a conversation with our officials before every game, and they're very blessed and thankful that I'm there, and they're understanding that there's not always that resource for them on site when things happen to them or their athletes that they're looking out for when they're refereeing games.
Andrew, do you have a contact for?
I can look around. I think going through the CATA, the CIAC would probably be our best resource to just get the sport liaison for each official association and then reaching out to them. And I'm happy to do that. I think Glenn would probably be our best contact to go through.
Yeah, I would call Glenn directly. He'll give you all that. Yeah.
I don't know if we had the meeting after this before this, but a referee was one of the people who have been saved this year.
And that's not the first or last time.
Right.
At the high school level, anybody know parents?
Yeah, I have got some pretty good connections that have come forward and did testimony last time. And then I think one of our key ones that we have video on our website and is always willing to come and speak is Woodstock Academy. He was the athletic director that day. He was a dad that day, and he was the football coach that day when his son was saved by the athletic trainer. And his wife was the school nurse. So they tend to be an impactful pair when we talk about, coming forward and doing that. But I think if we can, if we can a little bit divide and conquer, I could do it as with CATA and then connect with some secondary school athletic trainers in college to who we're targeting and how many and getting those stories to the front.
That'd be awesome. Okay, so we have working on some docs, working on some high school athletic directors and superintendents, parents and officials.
And
And
students.
college athletic trainers. And then I think for the programs, I think, we could reach out to the program directors and ask them, get this information out for their students and have students hit the hill. And I think, the student piece is very important here because, one of the goals and objectives of this task force was to get students here and keep them here. So I think hearing from them is going to be super important based on the bill language that we've requested.
Is there any template as to what these letters should look like? I just think it would help for some individuals that I'm asking, I know my AD would write a letter. She just wants to know what it should look like. And maybe if we have a half-page little thing about some key points that we would like them to speak on, possibly, I wonder if that's could be done.
Yep. So usually what we'll do is we'll draft a template and we'll add some talking points that people can then make their own. What NATA is going to help us with is exactly that. So once we review what the NATA has sent out, we'll send it to this whole group to review. And I think we could probably lump everything into a folder like parent, we could lump things and then we'll send it out to all of you. You can review, and as long as, based on any edits or comments or suggestions, then we could send it out and you could send it to whoever you think, really.
Perfect.
Yep. Sure thing. Anything else or any other ideas? I think we've got a long list of things to do, which is excellent.
Have we touched on the industrial side? I know it's kind of like just a different realm because they're hiring a lot of individuals out of some of these positions that we're looking at, but they also have a plethora of job openings in their field too. So I just wonder if there's a benefit to loop someone who can speak to the fact that Amazon has an open position for the last 4 years and is consistently hiring athletic trainers.
Yep. And we do have a kind of an emerging setting or non-traditional setting represented here. And I think we can find that, quote, industrial athletic trainer. I'm thinking of a couple of our alumni off the top of my head who are in Connecticut. And I know, Jess, I may be misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure on CATA, we have a couple of emerging setting athletic trainers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I
I've
had-
been in the industrial as well. I mean, I'm happy to speak to that, and I still have connections with people who are doing the hiring and searching.
I have 2 alums too. One actually does the quarry in Branford, and the other one does the power line people for UI.
Oh yeah, I actually used to work with one of those, I think.
Yes, I think your name came up in conversation.
Yeah.
And they would be happy to write this. They're both big advocates for it.
Yeah.
We're going to have a better turnout in Lenny than we did for the licensure bill.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we had quite a few for that in the last year. So that'd be perfect. I feel like we also kind of know what to do now.
Exactly.
Nicole, is there anything else you could think of kind of as we, get our ducks in a row?
No, I think you've covered everything. We just have to, I think it's a good idea to start getting that testimony, written now in anticipation of when we're going to have the public hearing, so you can mobilize more people. And the more, when legislators see like 10, 20, 100 people testifying in something, obviously they see the importance. So that's why it's important to get this going now and get as many people writing letters as possible.
Okay. I think, Jess, we could probably turn this around pretty quickly because NATA sent us most of the templates already. So we could probably get that out. Peter, would you be able to send that, or should we just reply to the email and send this group the documents?
Either way, it's up to you guys. I can do either way.
Okay. And it's okay for us to just reply to the latest email with all the information and send it to everybody?
Yeah, that would be okay.
Okay, perfect. I'm thinking we'll create a shared drive and then put everything in a shared drive and then send it, and everybody can make comments or suggestions on a shared drive. This way we don't have multiple documents floating around, and we'll give everybody maybe a week to look through everything, and then we can clean it up and send it out, and you could use it as you wish, sort of thing. Jess, is that fair? Or am I?
Yeah, nope, that works.
Okay.
Put me to work.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Gary, is there anything else, or are we good?
I think we've hit it all.
Okay. Perfect. If anybody has questions, please let us know. And we will try to get this out. I'm going to say by next week, we'll try to get that shared folder out, and then we'll give everybody about a week to review, and then we'll have everything ready for everybody to use, and we can kind of make Sarah has a question.
Sorry, just a quick question. So I'm guessing it sounds like this bill is going to be kind of address the financial piece, like a student loan repayment kind of thing. And I know in our last meeting, there was a lot of discussion on kind of other aspects that are a barrier for people staying, like the whole work-life balance and unrealistic expectations. Is this group meeting again to kind of like dive into that other piece, or are we just stopping with like the legislation part to address the financial piece?
I think that's a great question in my brain, just because the bill is coming up, and this is like, we do have to kind of organize the letters and this and that. Maybe we do that, and we could set up another meeting to then address the rest. We also want to see the bill language and, what it looks like when it comes out. But I do think that's a very good point, and that we should meet again and discuss kind of that other piece of it that's not maybe potentially written into the bill language. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
I think to a large extent, solving the athletic trainer shortage would solve a lot of those other problems just automatically. If we have enough athletic trainers, then your work-life balance gets better.
Yeah, hopefully. And we talked last time a lot about, I think in our first meeting, we talked a lot about kind of those maybe not intangibles, but a lot of the other things that just come along with scheduling changes and, those types of things that if we could control a little bit more, would help the athletic trainers' work-life balance. So I think if everybody agrees, and please feel free to disagree, let's organize this part, and then maybe we schedule another meeting where we can all talk together about kind of those intangibles, and if there's anything that we feel we could do to help address those.
Quick question, just to make sure I understand it correctly. So, the document that we had like sent in, are those 5 things the things that are being asked for? Because one of those was the funding for education of stakeholders, which does speak to that perceived value conversation that we haven't touched on today, but touched on last time.
Yep. And Nicole, correct me if I'm misspeaking, or Gary, but we draft the language and we send it in, and then it gets edited. So whatever we ask for is there. It could get edited and it could read differently. It could get edited and just sound different. So once we kind of see what it looks like, then we could take it from there.
Yeah.
Right. And then we could also, once the language comes out, if there's something that was just drafted incorrectly, or really hate it, or really feel there should be something else in there, we can, add an amendment, obviously on the floor, to address whatever concerns we may have.
So whatever we send in ever, not just for this, will get edited and put into proper kind of language that needs to be in a bill. And legalese, yeah. And then we'll be able to see it. And if something doesn't sound right, or something was misinterpreted, because a lot of it is up to interpretation, we can send in draft edits. And a lot of times what we'll do is, if the bill comes out and we want draft edits, one of our testimonies will have the draft edits in it written. So it'll be line by line. And we can organize all that. Gary and I would probably do that. If there's any language that we want changed, our testimony would probably include whatever edits we would want in there. And then they could amend those and add the edits in.
Nicole, won't it be a little more difficult to change it this one if it's going to be a one bill sort of covers all type of bill?
Oh, you can do whatever. I mean, if you have to change a section of it, then you just change that section. I mean, trust me, we've had 40-page bills or 100-page bills that we've had to change like periods and commas. So it's not, I mean, it's not ideal, but it can be done.
Now, when it's done as a group bill, is it going to sort of be like one bill that's sort of going to apply to everybody, or is it going to have each?
No, it'll be different sections. Like section 1 will be athletic trainer, section 2 will be another,
Okay, perfect.
area. That's usually how it's set up with those, big like workforce bill, because we're not the only workforce. There's other
Correct.
ones.
Okay, thank you. That was important to know.
So once we see the language and how it was drafted, then we can make sure we address any of the intangibles, the work life, the value, anything else. And if we want to add something or change something or add a period or comma, we could send those changes in.
Good. That'll work out very well.
Perfect. Anything else? Anybody else?
Do we know when our next meeting would be?
I would say, no, we don't. We can decide now. Usually we pick this time because this is the time that worked well last time. So I'd say in a couple weeks, maybe, or maybe 3 weeks, I'm thinking, as we kind of as we review what NATA sent, we can kind of copy edit those, send it out to everybody, give everybody a minute, and then maybe we could regroup based on where we think that should go. I think that might be feasible. So I'm thinking 3 weeks, just to give us a little bit of a
March
buffer time.
21st.
The 21st, and that's actually right before the CATA's legislative day. So that might work really well. I don't know how everybody feels about that. And it kind of gives us a deadline to make sure we get everything out, which is good. Deadlines are good.
I'm traveling that day, but don't change just because of me.
We can
Sorry
call
to
you.
interrupt, but you'd like to schedule a meeting on March 21st at 12 p.m.?
I think we're gathering if everybody agrees with that.
Okay. All right.
How about raise your hand if you don't agree? Good. All right. Yes, Peter, March 21st at 12 p.m. I should probably check my calendar.
All right, everybody, I'm jumping off to get on another Zoom. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Nicole.
Thank you,
Bye.
Nicole.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Nicole.
thank you.
Yep. Okay. And we'll try to get this a shared drive out to everybody by the middle of next week. Okay,
I think we're in good shape.
I think so too.
We set the date. We discussed everything on the agenda
Perfect. And then some.
and then some. So unless anybody has anything else,
Hope you guys all have a good rest of your day.
yep, have a great weekend and thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.